The deck is still flying aircraft when the fire begins, not on the surface, not where the wind can carry it away. It starts deep inside the ship, below the flight deck, where aviation gasoline has pooled unseen, vaporized by heat and shaken loose by impact. A low thump echoes through the hull, then another. Steel groans. The deck plates vibrate under boots already slick with oil and seawater. The air turns sharp, biting, thick with smoke that burns the lungs before the flames ever touch skin. Men run blind through passageways filled with black vapor. They slam into bulkheads. They shout warnings that vanish instantly in the roar of ventilation fans and distant explosions. Somewhere above them, engines scream as fighters struggle to take off from a ship that is already dying. Below, the fire finds oxygen, and Lady Lex exhales hell. She was never meant to carry airplanes. Her keel was laid in 1921, when battleships still ruled the seas, and victory was measured in gun caliber and armor thickness. The shipyard called her a battlecruiser, fast, long, and armed with guns meant to kill at 20 miles. Steel ribs rose from the slipway like the skeleton of a predator. Long, lean, built for speed. But history shifted while she was still unfinished. Treaties were signed, guns were limited, hulls were canceled, and the United States Navy looked at two half-built giants and made a decision that would change naval warfare forever. They stripped her of her future and gave her another. The guns were removed. The barbettes vanished. In their place rose a flat, endless deck of steel. Elevators, hangars, fuel lines carrying volatile aviation gasoline deep into the heart of the ship. She was reborn as an aircraft carrier, USS Lexington, over 880 feet long, displacing more than 36,000 tons, capable of speeds over 33 knots, faster than most battleships she would one day protect. When she entered service in 1927, sailors didn't know what to call her yet. She wasn't a battleship, she wasn't a cruiser, she was something new and slightly terrifying. Planes took off from her deck and vanished beyond the horizon, not to scout for guns, but to become the weapons themselves. Inside her hull, turbines screamed and the deck trembled constantly under the impact of landings. Arresting wires snapped tight, propellers shattered the air. The ship never slept. They called her Lady Lex, not because she was gentle, but because she demanded respect. In peacetime exercises, she played both hunter and prey. Sometimes she was the spear, sometimes the shield. Admirals argued about her purpose while pilots proved it every day. When war finally came to the Pacific, she was no experiment anymore. She was ready, and the ocean was about to learn what she had become. December arrives without warning. One morning, the Pacific Fleet wakes up smaller, bloodied, burning at anchor. Battleships sink in shallow water. Smoke climbs over Pearl Harbor like a funeral shroud. Lady Lex is not there. She is at sea. That absence saves her and condemns her, because from that moment on, she is no longer training for war. She is carrying it. Her deck becomes a factory of motion. Engines never cool. The smell of fuel never fades. Pilots sleep in their gear, helmets cradled like pillows, knowing the general alarm can sound at any second. Below decks, sailors learn the rhythm of a carrier at war. the constant vibration of turbines, the metallic scream of elevators rising through the ship, the dull thunder of aircraft landing hard again and again, as if the sky itself is attacking. Early raids strike out into empty ocean and distant islands. There are no decisive victories yet, only long hours, long distances, long silences on the bridge as officers scan the horizon for enemies that never show themselves. But Lady Lex keeps moving. She becomes a symbol, not because of propaganda, but because she is still alive. After Pearl Harbor, survival itself is a message. Her fighters claw at the sky on patrol. Her bombers vanish toward targets most of the crew will never see. When planes return shot full of holes, deck crews run toward them without hesitation, dragging burning wrecks away from fueled aircraft, stamping out flames with their own bodies if they have to. There is no glory in that work, only duty. In the mess decks, conversations change. The jokes grow thinner. The maps on the bulkheads fill with red grease pencil marks. Names of places few Americans have ever heard. New Guinea, Rabaul, the Coral Sea. Every mile west feels heavier. Intelligence reports filter down in fragments. Enemy carriers moving south. Invasion forces preparing to strike. Somewhere beyond the horizon, another fleet is hunting, just as blind, just as tense. For the first time in naval history, fleets are no longer searching for ships. They are searching for shadows. Lady Lex steams alongside her sister carriers, a moving island of steel and men, knowing that whoever finds the other first will decide the fate of the ocean. No broadsides, no lines of battle, just aircraft, fuel, and time. And time is running out. Ahead lies the Coral Sea, and waiting there is a war no one has ever fought before. The enemy is out there, everyone knows it, but no one can see it. The sea is calm, almost mocking. Blue water, gentle swells, a sky so wide it feels empty. Somewhere beyond that horizon, Japanese carriers are moving south with an invasion force aimed at Port Moresby. If they succeed, Australia will be within reach. So Lady Lex turns north and waits. There are no gun flashes, no silhouettes of battleships lining up for battle. Instead, the war begins in briefing rooms thick with cigarette smoke and tension. Pilots lean over maps. Fingers trace routes measured not in miles, but in fuel consumption. Every launch is a gamble. Aircraft roar off the flight deck, one after another, disappearing into the glare of the sun. Once they are gone, the ship feels exposed, lighter, vulnerable. A carrier without planes is just a target. Hours pass. Radios crackle with fragments of reports. Enemy sightings, false sightings, shadows mistaken for fleets, fleets that dissolve into nothing. Then it happens. Both sides find each other, almost simultaneously. It is the 8th of May, 1942. Orders are shouted, sirens wail. The deck explodes into motion. Bombers are armed at a run. Fighters spin their engines, choking the air with exhaust and heat. Sweat runs down faces streaked with grease and salt. Lady Lex turns into the wind. The ship trembles as aircraft launch in full waves, each one carrying men who know they may never see this deck again. They vanish east, toward ships they cannot see, toward enemies already doing the same. Somewhere far away, Japanese pilots are climbing into the same sky. Above the ocean, Two invisible fists are swinging at each other. Back aboard Lexington, there is nothing to do but wait. Men strain their ears for the sound of incoming aircraft. Lookouts scan empty skies until their eyes ache. Anti-aircraft crews stand frozen beside their guns, fingers white around triggers. Then the call comes. Enemy planes inbound. The horizon darkens with moving specks. They grow fast, too fast. Dive bombers peel downward like falling knives. Torpedo planes skim the waves, propellers clawing at the sea. The calm morning shatters into chaos. The Coral Sea has chosen its sacrifice, and Lady Lex is directly in its path. The sky falls in pieces. Anti-aircraft guns open up in a deafening wall of sound. The ship shudders as 5-inch batteries hammer skyward, black bursts blooming among diving aircraft. Tracers streak past canopies close enough to touch. It is not enough. A torpedo bomber races in low, almost scraping the waves. Men on deck can see the pilot's goggles, can see the red insignia on the wings. The plane releases and veers away. The torpedo strikes the port side. The impact is not a single explosion, but a heavy, crushing blow that seems to bend the ship. Water erupts skyward. Steel screams. The deck tilts just enough for men to stumble and catch themselves on railings slick with spray. Below the waterline, compartments flood instantly. Damage control teams run toward the darkness without waiting for orders. They shut hatches. They rig pumps. They work knee-deep in rising water, knowing every second matters. Then the bombs come. A dive bomber screams down through the fire, releasing its payload from impossible height. The bomb punches through the flight deck and detonates below. The blast throws aircraft sideways. Shrapnel scythes across the deck. Fire blossoms where fuel lines rupture. Smoke pours upward, thick and oily. And still, the ship lives. Lady Lex holds her speed. Her engines keep turning. The list is corrected. The fires are fought back. For a moment it seems possible. Men begin to believe it. They have been hit before. They can be hit again. This ship is massive. She is strong. She is still moving. Aircraft land amid smoke and debris. Wounded pilots climb from cockpits with shaking hands and are pulled away by deck crews who barely glance at the damage. The battle rages somewhere beyond the horizon. But aboard Lexington, a fragile hope takes hold. She has taken the enemy's best shot, and she is still afloat. No one yet understands that the most dangerous enemy is already inside the ship, silent, invisible, spreading through her veins. The fires are out. At least, that is what the reports say. Damage control teams move through the ship with blackened faces and blistered hands, checking compartments one by one. The air is hot, humid, heavy with the smell of burned insulation and scorched paint. But something else lingers, a sweetness. Sharp, almost invisible, aviation gasoline vapor. Deep inside the hull, fuel lines cracked by bombs and shock have been bleeding quietly. Gasoline flows into spaces meant for air, not fire. Ventilation systems pull the fumes through passageways, spreading them into places no flame has reached. Men smell it and hesitate. Orders come down to ventilate. Fans whine. Hatches open. Somewhere, someone flips a switch. At 12:57 in the afternoon, Lady Lex explodes. The blast tears through the ship from the inside out. Deck plates buckle, bulkheads rupture. Men are thrown against steel walls with bone-breaking force. Flames roar through passageways like living things, devouring oxygen, racing faster than anyone can run. Another explosion follows, then another, each one closer, each one stronger. The flight deck splits open as fire punches upward. Aircraft are tossed aside like toys. The ship loses power. Lights go out. The steady hum of engines falters, then dies. Darkness falls inside the carrier. Smoke fills everything. Men crawl along the deck by touch alone, hands burning against hot steel, lungs screaming for air that is no longer there. Damage control parties try to form lines, but the lines collapse as fires cut them off. This is no longer a battle. This is a death. Lady Lex lists harder now. The heat becomes unbearable. Ammunition cooks off in distant, hollow thuds. Fire mains lose pressure. Hoses go limp in men's hands. On the bridge, the truth settles in with crushing weight. The ship cannot be saved. Orders are passed quietly, calmly, without panic. Prepare to abandon ship. Men stop fighting the fires and begin fighting time. They move wounded toward the rails. They cut loose rafts. They help each other into life jackets with hands that will not stop shaking. No one runs, because running would mean admitting fear, and fear would dishonor the ship that carried them here. Lady Lex burns, not as a wreck, but as a warship refusing to die quietly. Her steel screams as she gives everything she has left. The order moves through the ship like a final heartbeat. Abandon ship. There is no shouting, no chaos, only motion. Men line up along the rails, silhouettes against fire and smoke. The flight deck, once alive with aircraft and motion, is now a burning plain of twisted steel and wreckage. The heat presses down like a physical weight. Paint blisters. Metal glows dull red in places. Officers move among the crew, voices steady, hands firm on shoulders. Wounded men are brought first. Some are carried. Some walk on their own, refusing help they know they need. Life jackets are secured. Rafts are lowered. One by one, sailors step to the edge and disappear into the sea below. The water is shockingly cold. It steals breath. It tightens muscles. Oil spreads across the surface, burning eyes and coating skin. Men kick free of the ship, swimming hard, putting distance between themselves and the carrier they love, because they know what comes next. From the water, Lady Lex looks impossibly large. Fire pours from her open sides. Smoke climbs into the sky in a column visible for miles. Her flag is still flying. Destroyers edge in close, risking their own lives to pull men from the sea. Hands reach down. Bodies are hauled up, one after another. Some survivors cling to nets in silence. Others collapse the moment they touch steel again. When the last man is clear, the escorts back away. No one wants to watch, but orders are orders. A destroyer turns her tubes toward Lexington's burning hull. Torpedoes streak across the water and strike home. The explosions are merciful, controlled, an act of respect. At 7:36 in the evening, USS Lexington rolls slowly to port. Her fires gutter. Her deck slips beneath the waves, and Lady Lex is gone. The sea closes over her. Debris floats. Oil spreads. The battle moves on. But something fundamental has changed. The Battle of the Coral Sea ends without a clear tactical victor, yet the invasion of Port Moresby is stopped. For the first time, an enemy advance is turned back not by battleships, but by aircraft launched from carriers that never saw each other. The world takes note. Lady Lex does not live to see that realization take root. She rests beneath the Pacific, her hull intact, her scars hidden in darkness. What she leaves behind is more important. She proves that steel alone does not win wars, that reach matters more than armor, that the men who fly from a deck can shape oceans. Her crew survives to fight again. They carry her memory into future battles, into Midway, into a new kind of naval war where the horizon is no longer the limit. She was born as a compromise. She died as a lesson written in fire, gasoline, and steel. And when the screen finally goes dark, what remains is not the image of an explosion, but the silence that followed, and the knowledge that the age of the aircraft carrier was paid for in full by Lady Lex.